just give us a real quick the story behind the new record, the title, and what inspired it?
Well, my children were born on the 12th of June, and as their first birthday approached, I just thought about it extra. And there some songs I didn't, I wasn't trying to make up a song, but the idea of it, the words kept sort of bothering me, and wouldn't let me stop thinking about them, and so it turned into that song, 12th of June. I was just thinking about their birthday coming up, and it was one of those songs that just kept tapping me on the shoulder in a way.
Well, the song itself, as well as some others on the album, were inspired by Parenthood, which it started about 5 years ago, and it really has been a transformative experience for you.
Well, I always thought I wanted to be a dad, but I had no idea how much I'd enjoy it. Having children, well, it's just the most fun I've ever had, and just the biggest blessing that I've ever had. And my friends, my buddies all teased me when we were expecting that they'd tease me, oh, your life is going to change. And of course it has changed, but it hasn't changed in a single way that I haven't wanted it to. I just, nothing compares to just being with my children, and I'm just so grateful to have a chance to experience it. Especially at my age, I'm just really grateful.
Your songs have always been inspired, it seems, by real people, by real life experiences, whether your own or somebody else's. And now being a parent gives you a whole new catalog of material to work with. Right?
Well, I think life is like that. I think life is inspiring. There's something interesting to see and something to learn everywhere you look. People are fascinating. I feel so, I get to work with people. I know people who are so good at what they do. I work with musicians who are some of the best musicians in the world, and I feel so fortunate and inspired, to step on stage with Leland Sklar and Russ Kunkel and Dean Parks and Jim Cox and all the other wonderful musicians I get to work with. To have Francine Reed, come in and perform with us after retiring means the world to me. And it's for me, it's those people on stage who lift me up and inspire me. In life, people that you meet in your everyday life can inspire you, can make you want to write a song. So, really all you have to do is look around and pay attention. And right now, in these last 5 years in my life, when I look around, I see those little ones, and it's really been fun. And they've given me lots of songs so far.
And more to come, I'm sure.
I hope.
With regards to these inspiring musicians who get to share the stage with you every night, you make it a special point in all of your live shows to really put the spotlight on them, not just on yourself and your songs. And literally by giving each of them the opportunity to shine. Why is that so important to you?
Oh gosh, I think, first of all, I love all of those musicians and singers, and want them to enjoy the performance. I want them to be able to be free and do something of their own invention. The solos they play are improvised from night to night. They never play the same solo twice. The solo Jim Cox plays at the end of I've Been to Memphis has never been the same way twice. And I enjoy listening to them. I also think, I mean, from selfishly, I think that it's better for the show. It's just better for the show if everyone in the audience, by the end of the show, feels as though he or she has gotten to know everybody on stage. I just like the idea that when people leave the theater, they remember everybody on stage and feel like they know them. And so that helps me. Starting from there and organizing a set of material, that helps me to decide what songs to play and where to put them in the show and all that. But that is something I thank you for saying that. That's something that I consciously try to do, is give everybody a chance, everybody on stage a chance to be featured at some point in the show.
So the past 2 years have been a struggle for so many people in different ways during the pandemic that never seems to end. And especially for a musician, someone who's used to being out in public and on a stage every night performing to hundreds or thousands of people, compared to when you were traveling on the road 100 or more nights a year, it was such a dramatic change in your life. And you spent a good part of these 2 years live streaming live performances from your garage.
Doing live streams was a lot of fun and was a help to us as well. It did over the course of the two years of the isolation. I did 20 live streams and 16 of them for a $10 ticket. I thought about trying to set a price that would be something that people wouldn't think twice about, a ticket price. And I wanted my live streams were always with another performer and really were a conversation along with trading songs. But the conversation was a big part of the live streams. The guests I invited to do the live streams with me, I wanted to be able to offer them a gig. I mean, that was my reason for wanting to charge a $10 ticket. I was grateful for the income as well, but I didn't want to ask folks just to do a favor and be on the live stream with me. So we, whatever ticket money we got, I just split with my guests and just had a great time doing them, and I would like to do more. I may do more even though we're back out playing, because even though folks would often say, I watched your live stream, can't wait till you can come back out and play live again, and I understand that, but there was something about the intimacy of live stream that allowed for a different kind of conversation. The kinds of things that wouldn't necessarily happen on stage in front of a live audience were possible in just having a conversation in a room or in a separate room with somebody. Looking at a computer screen and talking to somebody, folks are watching, but you kind of can lose track of that. And I found that my guests were willing to talk in a way they don't always talk on stage. So I enjoyed it, and I would like to do more.
But it's a different model, coming out of the garage and going back to the live stage with those musicians who you love to play with and who have inspired you night after night. It must have been exhilarating at first, that freedom to get back out in front of real people who you can see and see how they react, as opposed to playing a show in Indiana one night or Seattle the next night. You have no idea who's out there when you're doing a live stream from your garage, really. It's a whole different mindset, isn't it?
Coming back to playing live earlier this year, I was certainly excited. I was excited just to see the people I work with in person, personally, and to get to stand on stage and play music with them was exhilarating. But it wasn't just us. When we started going out and playing live for the first times earlier in the year, oftentimes you got the sense that, gosh, it's not just the first time for us, it's the first time for the audience as well. So there was a feeling among the audience that just went around the entire theater, the entire room, and there was an enthusiasm for just being out, and that was a very real feeling, and was really something to experience. I mean, you could just absolutely feel it from standing on stage. People seemed happy to be back, happy to be out.
I think it has really made people realize and appreciate that much more what live music is all about.
Just
what,
think
what makes it special.
And we're still being cautious, but think about how meaningful it feels to shake someone's hand. I mean, do you shake everybody's hand that you meet? Maybe you don't. Maybe you fist bump them. Maybe you wave. There are a few people you actually shake hands with, and it feels important.
Well, finally, without dwelling on it too long, because we could talk for hours, I wanted to reminisce a little bit about your ACL years, because this was your 17th performance on the show. That does include our songwriter specials and our Hall of Fame shows and so forth. But beginning with your first time on the stage, singing backup with Nancy Griffith, and then doing your first show on your own, and then the songwriter shows, which to me have always been special down through the years. The one you did with Willie Nelson, with Guy Clark and Rodney Crowell. What are some of the memories that stand out for you from all of those shows?
Getting to come to Austin City Limits. Austin City Limits is, I watched Austin City Limits in its first season. And getting to come to Austin City Limits, getting to know Terry Lickona and Gary Minotti, and to meet Bill, our host, and everybody on the crew before I would have ever been considered to be a guest on Austin City Limits, but getting to come with my friend Wayne Miller and sit in the control room and watch tapings, getting to know everybody, was a huge deal for me. I was a journalism student at Texas A&M. I took broadcast courses as well as print courses. I loved being in the control room. I loved watching you all work and make the show. Being a guest on those shows, gosh, being able to be on stage with Rodney Crowell and Willie Nelson in that show, I'll never forget that. I mean, that was an incredible experience. To be a part of the songwriter show, to sit next to Cowboy Jack Clement, and to look across and see Steve Earle, and to be up there with Emmylou Harris. I mean, those folks are heroes of mine. And anytime you get to spend time just to be in the room with one of your heroes, it's inspiring.
Do you remember walking out on stage that first time maybe and looking up and seeing Coach Del Royal sitting in his special seat up in the corner bleacher?
Golly, Coach Royal, how great was Coach Royal? He was so nice to me. I got to know him from playing music at the Daryl and Willie. I got to know him from playing music at the Willie and Daryl golf tournaments, and he was just he had his seat up there, and so did Governor Richards. And to be able to see them, and just to get to talk to them was, inspiring. To meet people, anybody you get to meet ever who is the best at what he or she does, it's just the best thing in the world. It's the best thing in the world. If you're trying to do anything, when you see somebody who does what he does, what she does, the best in the world, it just makes you better.
What it is, it's a privilege.
It is absolutely a privilege. It is a privilege, and you know, you can't help but learn something from meeting people like that. I feel so blessed in my life to have known so many people who were the best at what they did, and I count my blessings every day.